Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lisa with Undermined Propaganda. It is June 7th, 2026, Sunday afternoon. Before I get into it today, I just want to thank everyone that's been watching, liking, subscribing, commenting. I greatly, greatly appreciate all of your engagement. Thank you to PT0311, David Cordero, Susan Chapman, Hank Roos, Eileen Anaith Ned, and everybody else also that has been subscribing. I just don't have your names, but like I said, I greatly appreciate everyone's engagement. All right, anyone that thinks there's any semblance of free speech in America at this point, 2026, you're naive, or you're ignorant, or you're a combination of both, because there never truly was free speech. It depended on the topic. It depended on the situation. It depended on who was in power. And even the small, remote amount of free speech that we have had in my lifetime, that has been eroded every year, every decade, every single day of my life. And it has gotten to a point now where literally there is no free speech. What it is topic. It depends on the topic. If it's about Israel, if it's about criticizing Israel or Zionism, there is no free speech. We see it with Trump. We saw it with Biden, with what they did to the kids in the campus protests, where they let the police bash their heads in because they were calling out the genocide going on in Gaza. So this is not one administration. This is not Democrat or Republican. This is the whole entire apparatus of our power structure. You are not allowed to criticize Israel. You are not allowed to criticize Zionism. You are not allowed to criticize the elite. You're not allowed to criticize the police apparatus. And you're not allowed to criticize ICE. And there's new legislation being pushed that you're not allowed to criticize and protest against AI data centers. So, like I said, it just keeps getting worse. 60 Minutes was purchased by David Ellison, who is Larry Ellison's son, or vice versa. Was purchased by an Ellison, billionaire Zionist takeover of CBS News, which includes 60 Minutes. All the news organizations are being bought up so they can completely control the narrative. Completely. Anything that goes against Zionism or Israel, squashed. Anything that goes against the police state, squashed. And they just, as of last week, Bari Weiss took it over, who is an avid Zionist, and she's doing everything the Trump administration wants her to do. She is completely changing the narrative on stories, completely switching the truth to a lie to put the government and ICE, specifically in this clip where he's talking, in a favorable light and telling the public that this is the truth. This is what happened. And people like Scott Pelley, who has been with 60 Minutes for 37 years, was pushing against that. So he got fired. He got fired because he wasn't doing journalism the way they wanted him to do journalism, which isn't journalism, by the way. 60 Minutes has been around since 1968, since before I was born, in 1969, to be transparent about it, a long time ago. 1968, it was one of the few organizations left in mainstream media that actually tried to have ethics, tried to tell the truth. And they are completely destroying that. Our last vestige. That's why independent journalism is so important. People like Breaking Points, people like Status Quo, phenomenal. People like Breakthrough News with Rania Kalik, people like Katie Halper. These people are all and more independent journalists that do fantastic work. They don't do it for the money. They do it because they believe in telling the truth and getting the story out there. So let's go ahead and take a look at Scott Pelley drops some truth bombs that a lot of us already knew. But he just completely lays out what exactly was going on in this clip, specifically during the murder of Renee Good during the protests in Minnesota. So let's listen to what he says here about how they were told to cover this story. It's just despicable. Okay, let's see here.
Barry Weiss sends an email to my boss, Tanya Simon. Two of the things in the email include, can we make the protesters look more violent?
Wow.
Now, I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the quote, but that's what was communicated to me.
And I mean, right there. And if you were listening to mainstream media at all, and that means not just Fox, not just Newsmax, that means CNN, that means MSNBC, the narrative when it comes to a topic that those in power want to maintain a narrative on, which is protests against Zionism, or protests against the oligarchs, or protests against the Black Lives Matter protests. What they do is they frame protesters in general as violent. So in order for them to attempt to justify shooting a woman in the face 3 times when she was trying to leave a protest, this is part of what they do. They frame that individual. They take the individual in question that was murdered, that was beat up, that was abused, and they make them the villain. They make them the criminal. Not the guy that shot her in the face 3 times. He's no charges against him. He's fine. He's moved away and probably living a pretty good life right now. Renee Good's no longer with us. So let's let him keep telling us the rest of what they were told, how they were told to report this.
Me. And the other thing was Renee Good's car. You need to describe her as driving toward the officer. This is not what you see on the video. On the video, you see the officer standing slightly off the front of the car, and you clearly see Miss Good's wheels turned completely as far as they will go, away from the officer. But he shoots her in the head, kills her, and says something about her in that moment that I can't repeat in polite company. So we have gone out of our way in our plan from the very beginning to show the protesters for the responsibility that they had. We had already scrubbed the video archives looking for those scenes. But it somehow wasn't enough for Ms. Weiss. The video showed that the officer wasn't standing in front of the car and she wasn't driving toward him, but that's what the president said about that, and that's the way she wanted it described.
There it is. There it is. What a lot of us already knew. But it's sad when you see such a profound news organization that's been around for so long. People lose their jobs for trying to maintain integrity. See, in today's society, you don't move up by maintaining integrity. You don't get promoted by being ethical. You don't get rewarded for having compassion and empathy. That's not the world we live in right now. Not right now. I'm hopeful at some point that will change, but right now, this is the way it is. And as another example, because this is happening everywhere. This is happening everywhere. There was a high school student she was a valedictorian giving her speech as a valedictorian, and all she was calling for the rights of all people, the rights of the minorities, of the oppressed, and the microphone was ripped out of her hand to silence her. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video as another example of our complete elimination of free speech. She was 17 years old. Leen Hijaz used her graduation speech to speak for the voiceless. Millions suffering in Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Afghanistan's families torn apart by ICE. The school administrator cut her mic, told her, if you don't stop, you're not graduating. They withheld her diploma for 4 days. Now, see, that's something that they did to the Palestinian protesters in college. Some of them never got their diploma.
We're not given a voice to stay silent and to just...
This 17-year-old teenager from Clayton, North Carolina says her welcome speech to graduates was cut off by a school administrator after she made these remarks.
I have one last thing to say. Every single person here has a voice, and we are privileged to have the freedom to use it when so many people around the world are struggling and they're suffering to be heard. Whether it's the millions suffering in Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Afghanistan, and so many other countries around the world, these are the families being torn apart by ICE. These are not distant issues; they are happening right now as I speak.
She came up to me and she's like, if you don't stop speaking right now, you're not graduating.
That's what Lean Hijaz says the administrator said to her in this moment when she cut off Hijaz's speech. And because of those remarks, unlike the rest of her fellow graduates who picked up their diplomas after the ceremony, Hijaz says she was told,
you're getting your diploma withheld.
A Johnston County Public Schools spokesperson tells CNN that Hijaz was, quote, awarded her diploma and that her speech was cut off because, quote, school administrators intervened in order to maintain the integrity and focus of the program in real time. This action was not about limiting a student's voice, but about ensuring that a school-sponsored event remained consistent with its intended purpose. JCPS respects students' rights to express their views and encourages thoughtful dialogue in appropriate settings. The district also said the content of graduation speeches is approved by staff ahead of the event. Hijaz says she did not submit her unscripted remarks for approval and that she received her diploma 4 days after graduation. Hijaz says her family and friends have supported her throughout because
my sole purpose of saying everything was to advocate for people.
And shout out to her because they didn't shut her speech down because they were trying to maintain integrity of the school event. It's such a bunch of crap, such a lie. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if she had gone up there and talked about the rights of Israelis, talked about what happened on October 7th, nobody would have came and grabbed her mic. She was talking and supporting the wrong group of people. The unapproved group of people. The group of people that it is unapproved to call out their suffering, to support, to fight for. That's what she did wrong. So just, two examples right there, and there are just so many with this complete erosion of freedom of speech, freedom of protest, freedoms in general here in America. All I want to say is shout out to all the independent journalists like Breaking Points, like Status Quo, like this girl that goes up and knows it's a risk, knows that people have lost their diplomas, and she still speaks out. And that's what we have to keep doing. We have to keep telling the truth. We have to keep calling out the shifting narratives to make Israel look good, to make the Trump administration look good, to make ICE look good. No, we need to see the facts. So thank you so much, you guys, for listening to this rant. But it was just infuriating and heartbreaking this morning when I watched that clip, about 60 minutes, when I see this girl get the mic ripped out of her hand, this valedictorian that busted her ass to be valedictorian, and then she's speaking about human rights and gets the mic ripped away from her. No, that's not freedom of speech. I'm sorry. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Anybody that did, if you found anything valuable or liked any part of it, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know what you think. And importantly, I hope you find some peace in the rest of your day. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.